a girl a-running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod. She's my hot rod.
I got to ask you a couple things. Now, first of all, we talked earlier, these electric cars, the lithium-ion batteries. What are you guys doing to prepare for this kind of thing? I mean, have you had one yet?
We have not had a fire-on lithium-ion battery that I'm aware of yet. We've had info from NFPA, and we've covered it in some training sessions. The biggest deal is the amount of time it's going to take. We're going to be committed for a long time. Our other calls are going to be backing up while we take care of this type of call.
And this fire is longer to take care of because?
Just because there's so much fuel, the battery, as I was telling you before the show, they can generate what's called thermal runaway, where one cell heats up and heats the next cell and the next cell, and they just start burning down the row.
Oh, man. And there's so many of those cells in these batteries, because I don't know how many there are, but it's huge. The battery's huge.
Exactly.
It's not just a little battery. You're not thinking, people, it's not the battery that we're talking about that's in your car now.
No, it's thousands of pounds.
Yeah, it's not even close. Yeah, it's a 1,000-pound battery. It's crazy. And now, you fight this with water, or are there chemicals involved?
No, the recommendation is water. It's just to have an extremely large source of water when you begin attacking.
So you need a ton of water and a ton of time to put out an electric car.
Yes.
And if it crashes, say I did crash my car one time, but it wasn't electric. And the boys had to cut me out. I'm sure he was there. And with the jaws of life, the big thing that tears the car apart. Tell me about the changes. I know you said something about a rollover roof we talked about, where they had to double the strength of the pillars and make sure.
They're constantly changing the safety regulations of the cars. And one of the regulations has been on a rollover, the roof of the vehicle has to maintain double the weight it used to, which, like I was telling you, is why we see such huge 8 posts in the front of the car and why the passenger windows are getting shorter and shorter, because they need to strengthen all of that for the rollover. But then when we have to cut a roof off a car or cut a door off a car, all that metal is so much thicker, or it's an exotic metal like boron.
Well, you got to pry it apart. I mean, to get me out of there.
Yeah, the original Jaws of Life would never cut through a boron rod. No.
Oh, really?
No, they have gone so exponentially higher pressure.
So what kind of saw does that take? You got to have a bigger saw.
Well, you constantly getting bigger and heavier tools, and
oh boy.
Yep.
And more expensive, of course.
Of course.
Absolutely, of course. And of course, it makes the car more expensive too when they buy it.
Yep.
And that concerns me. That I know that Tesla's burned up a couple of garages. Chevy Volt burned up a couple of garages. There was a couple of cars that got in wrecks, and they were in the body shop, and a week later caught fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because that lithium ion is a flammable thing, I guess. The lithium.
Absolutely, and I didn't mention this before, but the NFPA, when they were doing their studies 5-6 years ago, they had one that they used a thermal camera on, and 22 hours later, they looked at the camera and it was all ambient temperature, and 22 hours later it reignited.
Wow. The volatility here, I've preached for the longest time, and you know I have, about electric cars. It's just too much, too soon, too fast. Nobody bothered to think about these poor guys. These cars are going to crash. They're going to catch fire. There's going to be mishaps, and somebody's got to put the fire out. Somebody's got to cut the car apart. What if you go to cut that car apart and it's actually live? It's got 300 volts running through it. What do you do with that?
Again, we've been trained. You have to watch for the orange wires on some models and the blue wires on other models, but you have to watch for it. You have to know about it. When they first came out, they started having apps that firemen could carry that you'd spend more time on a fire scene trying to figure out what car I got.
What I'm doing,
Yeah, I'm looking at a car upside down that's wrecked, trying to find what model it is.
Meanwhile, the guy bleeds to death because you don't know if the car's safe to touch.
You do the best you can. You try to be as safe as you can,
but you have to fight the fire. You have to save the life. Oh my God! I know some of these manufacturers are now making cheat sheets for you, and they're trying to standardize the shut-off places for electronics in different cars, but they're trying to all come together. Originally, they didn't do that.
No.
Originally, it was one. You're on your own. Have a ball. Here's the fire department answering a call, and there's a fully electric Nissan Leaf sitting there on fire. Well, now what do? Nobody ever said anything about it. There's never any information out there. Now all of a sudden it's starting to creep out. Well, heck, we're beyond the part of electric cars, Ken. Now we're having self-driving electric cars. I mean, what the heck? We're going to send a self-driving fire truck out there to fight the fire?
I won't have to get anybody out of it, right?
Yeah, everybody can stay in bed. Oh my God, that's kind of a cool thought. Go out there and fight that fire, Matilda, or whatever you want to call this truck. Name the truck, give her a name, and send her out to fight the fire. It's hopefully, I know GM claims that they offer training. They will come out and train fire departments. I wonder how many hoops you're going to have. You got to try this for me and see how many hoops you got to go through.
Like I said,
because I know you guys.
To me, so we'll have to look into it.
I gotta say, you guys are always training, and I know you believe in it, and that would be important to you. But hey, what are you going to do? The NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency, or Prevention Agency.
National Fire Protection Association.
I knew I'd get that right sooner or later, as soon as he told me. They have training available.
Yes.
But do they know everything they need to know? We don't. The car manufacturer doesn't know everything it needs to know about that electric car yet. It hasn't made it safe. I mean, those batteries for the first 4 years the electric cars were out, those lithium-ion batteries were catching fire just left and right.
Yes.
They even had to ground the DC-10s or 747 airplanes because they had those batteries in them.
Samsung phones, it's all the same stuff.
Oh, that's right. Samsung phones had the same thing.
All the same thing.
Put it in your pocket and blow your shirt apart.
Yep.
Oh, boy. I'm telling you. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is something that's always bothered me. Now, Nissan says they have a sensor in their cars that when the crash sensor goes off, it shuts off the electric. Well, that's all well and good, but that battery's still in that car.
Yeah.
And there's wires on that battery. It doesn't pull the wires off. That sensor cannot pull the wires off that battery.
No.
I don't care what anybody says. And if that battery is shorted to the frame, you've got 300 volts running through the frame of that car.
Yep.
And your guy's going to run up there with a jaws of life or a saw to cut into it, and he's going to get the shock of his life. That's and that's big amperage. That's enough to kill you.
Yes.
It really is. And that's another way that they just are going too much, too soon, too fast. This is what I believe. I want to see safety involved for sure, and I want to see training involved. This has got to be, my guys, I don't even have classes that I can get for my guys to work on these cars yet. They know, I know enough that I tell my guys, we get an electric car in, we do some Prius work and some other things. I have a fleet that has it. I tell them, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you these labels. We see these colors. You stay away from orange, red, whatever. But that's the Toyota. The Nissan might be different. The Tesla is different. And they don't care. They just don't care.
They do seem like they're standardizing orange to be the high voltage.
That's the high one.
And at least that's slightly helpful. At least if we see orange, we stay away from that.
Well, that's a start.
Now. Yeah.
It's a beginning. Here's the scenario. Here it is. Oh, by the way, 928 Car Guys, if you ever want to call us, like any questions for the Chief, you call and ask. But I'm telling you, this is a cool topic. Here's the scenario. It's a self-driving Uber delivery car, nobody in it. And it crashes into an abutment. There's nobody in it now. Why would you just let it burn?
We have to put all the garbage out, George. Any fire.
Any fire. I know. But here you're wasting manpower and extra manpower and water and stuff because this electric car decided to, jump off the track and go into a bridge. I'm telling you, you guys, the fire department, first responders in general, paramedics, firemen, they got their work cut out for them now. This is going to be a whole different ballgame. This is going to be a different level of, you're going to, like you said, every car is going to be, so fire is different. Unless they standardize everything on these cars, the responding to crises with these cars, it's going to be hard.
It already is, even with airbags. I mean, every vehicle's got airbags in a different spot. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And I know there's a lot of these airbags, especially the Takatas, when they go off, they can kill.
Yep.
They'll kill you faster than their car wreck.
Yep.
It's just insane. But the other thing is, how many times have you guys got somebody out of the car only to have an airbag go off while you're in there? Oh my God.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of firemen injured over the time that they lean in over a passenger side, activate the switch in the seat, and bang.
There goes the airbag. Oh
Yep.
my God. I have never thought about that. That's insane. They just see, and of course, they call them accidents for a reason. Okay, they're accidents, but
Absolutely.
But why? Why don't we have this to a point where? Why don't they ask somebody that has to respond to these problems? Why don't we get somebody that maybe the NFPA should be involved in the actual production and design of some of these cars so that the safety is there.
You know why, George? It's dollars and cents. It's
Yeah.
always dollars and cents. If they talk to us, we're going to cost them more money.
Well, yeah, you are, but you're going to save lives. That's the
Yeah.
whole idea.
Yep.
And you know what? I guess so far, especially like I say with the Takata airbags and stuff, saving lives is secondary.
Right.
Making money is number one for these guys. Now the fires, extra water, extra time, and then I'm amazed at this. What did you call it? Heat generation.
The thermal runaway?
Thermal runaway. Yeah, where the
Yes.
one cell, and how many cells? Some of these cars got to have 30 cells.
Oh, I'm guessing it's closer to hundreds than it is 30.
Oh my God, 100 cells that got to take turns to go catching on fire.
Yep.
Holy cow, that's just amazing. And it's great technology. It's great for the environment, but if you crash it, it's not great for the poor guy that's got to answer the crash.
No.
That's not good for the guy in charge of saving your life. And then you don't know if it's going to be electrified or not. And that's now the shutoffs. You guys have an idea where some of the shutoffs are? They're not all the same place, are they?
No, they're not, and there's no uniform place for us to look. Again, we're looking for the orange stuff. We stay away from it. In a fire, it's pretty much academic. We're going to keep pouring water on it until we're ever. In a rescue where we're cutting a vehicle apart, that's where we're more interested with the high voltage. And so far, they have managed to keep the high voltage out of the engine compartment and the normal places we're going to cut. But anything in a hood, if we have to do a dash roll up or something like that, you have the potential of crossing a wire or crushing something.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And that's going to light up your life if you do that.
Well, once, yeah.
Yeah, once. It's like sticking your finger in a socket. That's just not
Yep.
good. That's a lot of voltage, a lot of amperage. And these guys are putting their life on the line for these cars to save yours. And nobody. I'm going to tell you, it would benefit. It would behoove the car manufacturers of this country to make these things, first of all, standardized. Second of all, find a fail-safe, some kind of fail-safe program where this battery, I mean that thermal runaway. Oh my God, that's got to stop. There's
Right.
got to be a different battery. You got to have a different kind of battery. They got to do something. That lithium-ion stuffed in 100 cells, catching fire as they go. You could be there for days.
Could be. I mean, historically, it hasn't been that, but you just don't know.
No, you don't. Wow. Some of this stuff is amazing, and it's to the point where if they don't know, or if they know, but if you don't know, how's the poor guy driving the car going to get saved? That's the important part. We got to get. It's got to be some kind of universal thing that they can do, some kind of safety. Of course, they've never cared about safety. They're cared about being the first one to have an electric car on the road.
Right.
That's all they care about. It's the race. They're worried about getting that car out there, and now they're worried about getting the first self-driving car, the regular deliver your pizza by itself. And there you go. You're gonna have a pizza oven to deal with too that catches fire, for God's sake, or a pizza heater. I mean, come on. It's just, it's hard. It's hard for me to fathom that I got to send, and I'm not the chief. He's the chief. I have to send my guys back to the shop, to open the hood and take a look at these electric cars. I have to go with them and I have to watch because I'm worried. This whole electric car fire thing You got to send those guys out there. Some of them, I'm sure they're gung ho, and I'm sure they're trained. But how trained can you be when it's not there? The information is not there.
That's everything we deal with. I mean, we're always going into the unknown. We try to educate ourselves as best we can. Like we've said already, we train and train and train, and the bulk of our training is mandated training. I mean, between OSHA, IDOL, and the other standards.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But the problem is the manufacturers don't have anything available
Absolutely.
for you.
Right.
There's nothing there for you. Here's the car. Put it out. It's on fire. Put it out. All of a sudden, you're talking about thermal runaways and 300 volts and stay away from the orange wire. And I'm trying to get this guy out of the car.
Yep.
He's bleeding to death. And I got to get him out of this car, and I got to do it before he gets electrocuted or I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is insane. There's got to be some kind of safety measure. I don't get it. And I this is why he's a hands-on chief, guys. When the call comes, he goes. He wants to see this stuff. He wants to make sure everybody comes home, too. And that's the name of the game. But to fight a car fire blind, half blind.
The car fires are actually the lesser issue. We're not going to. You don't have to lay hands on it. It's done. I mean, most car fires are totaled when we get there.
Yeah.
It's the extrications where we're risky.
And some of that stuff takes hours.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff I know when I crashed my little S10, it took a couple hours to get me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what peeled me out of there like a hunk of junk I was. Yeah, a couple days later I woke up and said, "Hi, I'm home." Anyway, we're talking about the new electric cars, and like you say, the extrication, and plus they made the cars the rollover laws. That just amazes me. I never thought about it, but now he's told me about it. The chief's right. The windows are smaller, the A pillars are thicker, fatter.
Mm-hmm.
All that is to keep the car from, when it rolls over, from crushing. That's a new safety standard. But nobody thought about the equipment it takes to get somebody out of that car that's rolled over.
Right.
How do you get that apart? How do you... You guys carry air compressors on the trucks now for you run hydraulics?
Well, we got airbags. We have air compressors.
Yeah.
We have saws. We have
It's just... it's sending some firefighters out to do this kind of job, and then it's electric car to boot. And, okay, we got to look up, see what kind of car this is, finally the turn off, and hopefully that battery's not shorted, and hopefully it's not sitting there having a thermal runaway while we're doing this.
Right.
And now we're going to have a car fire and an extrication. Whew. Deadly combo, Ken.
Yep.
Absolute deadly combo.
Yep.
And
Well, you
ugly.
wouldn't want us to get bored.
I know. Well, you can't get bored with this kind of stuff going on. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And with the number of volts that this is running and the amps that it carries, the damage to anything, any kind of equipment, plus the human guy that's running the equipment. And you can wear rubber gloves and you can wear rubber boots and be grounded. It's not going to help. It's just not going to be the same.
No, it's not going to provide any safety.
No, it's amazing. It's just what they can do. They build this stuff, they throw it out on the street. Deal with it, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Just deal with it. Okay, well you got it. I mean, that's what your job is, and you've always done that. But that's not the point. The point is, they could have made this safer. They could have made it easier. They could have made it uniformly safer, uniformly able to be safer somehow, some way to make it safer. They just didn't do it, and it amazes me. I don't know how you guys put up with it. I don't know how you do it. I really don't.